Black magic. The name rings of mystery and power. My first exposure to it was in the Nintendo version of Final Fantasy I. The excitement and glee I felt when I gained access to a new level of magic was real, so I figure hey, let's rank and discuss each of the spell tiers available. Does level 3 have the best magic, or is the best stuff locked behind level 8? When ranking these spells, we are primarily going to focus on how powerful they are when they're unlocked, and to a smaller extent, how useful they are as the game progresses. So with that out of the way, let's dive in. Lightning and Fire are your staple spells in level 1 magic. Both do between 20 and 60 damage. Fire does more damage against undead and frost creatures, and Bolt does more against sea enemies. For some reason, I prefer Bolt over Fire, even though they're pretty much the same spell. Sleep can be useful. You can even put Garland to sleep, but I much prefer just blasting him in the face. The fourth spell, Lock, is bugged and doesn't work. This won't be the first time this comes up. The Nintendo version of the game has some really bad bugs. Level 1 magic is just going to go in the good tier. It's pretty great when you're starting out, but you will start to grow out of it, and nothing really hangs around until later in the game. The same can't really be said for level 2. Sure, we get the Ice spell, a slightly stronger version of the Fire and Lit spells, but that's pretty much it as the bug spells strike again. Temper would be an amazing spell. It is designed to up the amount of damage you do per hit, and as you level up and gain more hits per attack, the spell gets more and more effective. Or it would, since in this version of the game it does nothing. Dark and Slow are situationally useful at best, and you will likely have other spell casting priorities during your limited turns. Level 2 is just fine, since it is nice in the early game to have one extra damage spell to cast. Level 3 magic though is where the real fun begins. It's where your Black Mage becomes Death, the destroyer of worlds. Now, on the surface, Lit 2 and Fire 2 don't seem like much of an upgrade. Sure, they do more damage, but so what? Well, let me tell you so what. These spells will hit every enemy in the battle, and from level 5 to about level 12, they will likely do enough damage to wipe out all common enemies you face. They're pretty much an I win button, and good luck doing the Peninsula of Power grind without them. Hold is paralysis and can be useful, and Lock 2 is, well, more broken than Lock 1. Instead of doing nothing, it actually raises the enemy's evade. Yeah, that's right, it's better to do nothing than to cast that spell. All of these spells will get replaced by items at the end of the game, but that doesn't matter. The power you feel when you get these spells is unmatched. This is legendary tier through and through. When the excitement of level 3 magic fades, level 4 magic will be there to hold your hand until the end of the game. Fast is not a damage spell, but a support spell. Casting it on an ally will double the amount of hits they do when they attack. As the game goes on, this spell will be your first move, and possibly your second move as a Black Wizard in a boss fight. Black Wizards will stop being the DPS, and will soon become a support unit as things progress. Ice 2, like Lit 2 and Bolt 2, damages all enemies, and it's an even stronger spell than those two, but it somehow feels less impactful. Sleep 2 is actually a step down from Sleep 1, targeting only one unit instead of a group. The upside is that it's slightly more accurate, and Confusion will most likely just be cast for fun to watch the dumb enemies hit each other. Oh, and this works on carry also. In the end, level 4 is going to be in the Great tier, based solely on fast. Level 5 is the last level of black magic where you will feel like you're truly gaining something special. It's also the first level of magic that is spells that only the Black Wizard can learn. Fire 3 is the belle of the ball here. First, because it's the first of the 3 tier 3 spells we can learn, and secondly, almost all of the enemies you will be fighting around this point in the game are weak to fire. Lich, the first fiend, can almost be one hit by this spell if it rolls high enough. Warp is another fun spell. Only learnable by a Black Wizard, this spell will transport you up a floor when in a dungeon. It has limited applications but can be a lifesaver in a pinch. Bane is the first AoE death spell we get. If it lands, it will instantly kill the enemy, and if it doesn't, it's a waste of time. It can be good for later in the game when enemies are too strong to purely be Fire 3 fodder, though by that point we probably found the Bane sword, so it's a bit of a wasted slot. Then we have Slow 2, which just like Sleep 2, now only hits one target, but it is more accurate. If you can get it to land on Kraken or Tiamat, it can make their encounters much easier. In the end, I think we're gonna go with Great here. Level 6 magic costs 620,000 gold a spell? Damn, magic is starting to get expensive. So here's where black magic starts to get less cool. Sure, we get Lit 3, the ultimate bolt spell, but by this point in the game, we start relying more on melee damage than we do on spell damage, and we're starting to get so many magical items that AoE spells become less important. Still, Lit 3 is good. Our other options though, not so much. Quake is an AoE instant kill, and Rub is a single target instant kill. Both are unreliable, and likely just aren't worth the gold. Stun only works on enemies with 300 HP or less. On the plus side, it always works, but even then, it's probably better just to cast Lit 3. We're gonna put level 6 magic in the good tier. Let's hope it can recover. Level 7 has 2 good spells and 2 terrible spells. By this point, we know what Ice 3 is and why it's useful. It's the strongest AoE spell in the game unless you find the hidden magic shop. Brack is a 1-target instant kill, and it's probably the strongest in the game. It can take out Tiamat if you get a lucky roll. These 2 spells will get level 7 a good rank, because the other 2 spells aren't that special. Blind will always land on targets below 300 HP, but why would we even care about landing Darkness at that point in the battle? And Saber, like Temper, is broken and does nothing. And even if it wasn't broken, you can only cast it on the Black Wizard, who isn't exactly the one you want to do melee buffs on. What were they thinking? Hidden in the corner of a mythical village lies a secret magic shop that sells only 1 level 8 magic spell, the strongest spell in the game, Nuke. Nuke blasts all enemies on screen with the highest potential damage in the game. The fact that it is not elemental means nothing will resist it, but I'll be honest, it still feels a bit underwhelming after a few casts. I might have liked a single target damage spell that maybe did more damage, because by the end of the game, black magic becomes more about buffing and less about, well, nuking. The other 3 spells we have here are not really worth having over Nuke. Zap is the ultimate AoE death spell with the highest success rate. Stop is the same as Zap, only it causes paralysis and it has a slightly higher success rate. And XXXX, yes, that's right, 4 X's, will instantly kill any enemy that has 300 HP or less. But you know what else will do that? Nuke, and it will hit everything else. Yes, I know Nuke can do less than 300 HP of damage in a cast, but the point still stands. Level 8 magic is Nuke, and a bunch of worse options. I still feel like it's gonna end up going in great, but it's bad if you don't have the hidden magic shop. And at the end of the game, you'll only end up with a few charges of these spells anyway. You know what? Reassessing? It's just gonna be good for now. And that's it. Thanks for indulging me here. This was a pretty short list, so I'm going to skip the recap. I think I'm probably going to do a white magic list someday in the future as well. But when that day is, who knows? I've also had a class tier list written up for about 6 months, so someday that'll come too. Until next time, my friends, adios.